Today, the two computer giants are making waves. Steve Jobs announced that he's taking a medical leave of absence from Apple, and this news comes at a time when Microsoft has just released their new baby, Windows 7. It's time to go in-depth on both of these topics in The Loop. Joining me now from New York to help us make sense of it all, Deputy Director of Special Projects for Forbes, David E. Walt joins us. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Are you all nice and recovered from CES?
Still a little bit of a hangover, but I think I'm okay.
The tech hangover, right? Too many bullet points to sort through. It has nothing to do with Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
It's tech.
As we just heard, of course, at the top of the show, Steve Jobs has stepped down from Apple on a medical leave of absence. Dave, what exactly do we know about this situation right now?
Well, most of what we know is from a memo that Steve sent to Apple employees today. He said that his health condition, he's been recovering from pancreatic cancer for the last 4 years.
Right.
He said that his condition has gotten more complicated than he thought, and that because of all the attention it's been getting and the chaos it's been causing the company, he's going to take a 6-month medical leave of absence just to deal with his medical issues.
Right. So Jobs, of course, indicating that he'll return around June. But do you think at that time he might transition himself out of the role of CEO, or is it too early to speculate something like that?
Well, it's hard to say. On one hand, he's a famous control freak. I mean, he held on this long, never talked about his successor, didn't want to talk about his illness. But on the other side of things, I mean, he kind of has to at some point. He needs to step down. And what he could do come June is come back, stay with the company, do something like Bill Gates did when he handed over the CEO job to Steve Ballmer back in 2001. But
right.
Bill still stayed on as chairman, and he had an upper-level position. He was still very, very active.
And now, the moment this news broke, I mean, of course, it's been everywhere, but the stock has it has gone nowhere. I mean, I think it dipped 18% minutes after it was announced. Is this a bad time to own Apple stock, or are people looking at this and saying, well, now this is a good time to buy?
It's a bad time to have owned Apple stock. If you've owned Apple stock for the last year, you've seen your investment drop more than 50%, largely because of this speculation about Steve's health. Now, tomorrow morning, if you were to buy, that might not be a terrible idea, because this is sort of providing some resolution to all the confusion. So now maybe the stock might crawl back up.
Right, and hopefully in June we'll see it pop back up as well. But of course, I know you do the same, but we wish Steve good health, and we'll have more on the story as news breaks. But there's also some huge news happening this week with Apple's main competitor, and of course that's Microsoft. And it's been, well, just about a week since the release of Windows 7 beta. What's the general response to this here? I mean, for those that have actually had a chance to download it from Microsoft, what are they saying, Dave?
I think most people are happy with it. I mean, they look at it and they say, wow, this actually works. It looks good. A lot of people say,
is that really a great reaction to a piece of software, especially when it's as important as an operating system? Wow, this actually works.
Well, it's coming off the heels of Vista, which is legendarily bad. And I think a lot of people are looking at it and saying, well, this is what this is what Vista should have been. Now it works, and we're excited about it now. And when it comes out, we might buy it.
I would have been excited for Windows 3.1 with a new theme, though. I mean, like, what do you think of the operating system? Is this something you're going to switch to, David?
Yeah, I still haven't switched over. I'm still using XP, but after playing with this for a little bit, I think when it actually comes out, I'm going to switch over, because it's a modern operating system. It's got all the features that a modern user wants. It'll work much better with modern processors. It's definitely got some improvements. Some of the stuff that people liked in Vista, some of the search things and the taskbar stuff, but they didn't like because it was too big and slow and crashy.
I know that the major overhaul has been to the start bar. That's what everybody's talking about. They're saying it's almost like the Mac dock at this point. But what has Microsoft done to make that particular feature better?
Well, they've added a lot of contextual stuff. This is both to the Start button and to the taskbar. There's a lot of things they're calling like jump menus, for instance, where you can click on an icon that would normally, in the past, would have just taken you to that program. Now you get things like what you usually do with the program. So you can click on Word, and it'll tell you, well, do you want to open this file that you usually work on? Or you could click on your instant messaging program, and it'll tell you, well, do you want to talk to Kevin, or do you want to talk to David? So there's a lot of kind of contextual stuff that helps you get to what you want to do faster.
That's neat. And I've seen some of the Windows management stuff that they have, like shaking a window causes the other ones to go transparent, things like that, which are, I mean, they're cool little utilities, but it's kind of, I think it's kind of funny that, this was released around, I think like last Thursday or so. We're at CES, and I don't think anybody would know about these features or have been able to use them had it not been for BitTorrent. I mean, isn't it? Do you think this launch would have been half as successful if people weren't grabbing this from servers other than Microsoft's?
Yeah, Microsoft will never admit it in a million years, but BitTorrent really helped them because they set up some servers and said, hey, you can come download the beta, but the servers got slammed and nobody could get in and get this stuff. So a lot of people were turning to BitTorrent and downloading, you know, quote-unquote illegal copies of the beta.
Right.
That allowed the fan base to get a look at this and say, wow, this is pretty cool. And even there were developers who couldn't get in to download the software, and then they were able to get their copies through BitTorrent.
Yeah, saved them from a lot of angry nerd press, that's for sure. But we know that the beta test ends on August 1st. Do you know if there's an official release date yet, or what Microsoft's plans might be come that date?
Well, assuming they don't find any big holes or problems in the beta, I think it's going to come out right after August 1st. It's a good indicator of that they're going to be ready to launch it. And Microsoft would definitely like to get the software out the door around back to school time, because then all those new computers that people are buying, those will be loaded up with Windows 7.
That's true. Nothing makes students happier than a flashy new operating system from Microsoft. David, always a pleasure to have you on, sir. Thank you so much for keeping us in the loop.